Welcome, hello, Yasu, hi, my name is Tai Kölner, and lately I did post a video about cheese making, but this video is about insulin high and cheese making and how this relates together. First of all, I am not a doctor, so check everything I'm telling you here. Probably it's not good for you, probably it is good for you, but I may not give any advices, as you know. So, however, I will introduce a little because I'm not a doctor, so who am I? I'm a magic practitioner. I'm working occult. I'm working with the Clifford, with the left-hand path. I'm a draconian practitioner. I'm an author. I'm an empath. And 2 years ago, they found out that I have a very, very high insulin level. So, and I am working with an entity which I name a musin. Some people might name it a higher self or something, but as the doctors here didn't find a solution about my insulin high, she got active. And I, in a row, get hints how to solve this problem. And as for now, I'm doing an experiment, and I think it will work, but I will keep you updated if it works. So this for now. If you are interested into occult workings, make sure to subscribe my channel so you stay updated and switch on the notifications, because this is what this channel is basically about. It's about demon works, it's about shadow works, it's about Clifford works, draconian path working, and so on. This is my key topic here. So you also find some descriptions up in the channel descriptions. For today, it is about insulin high and the all over social media spread it, do your cheese self experiments. So let's get into this. I was a little overwhelmed by all this cheese making things, and I thought, hey, why not give it a try, because I really love cheese. And my running gag always is, what should I else eat at 3 in the morning? So I did dare to do this cheese making, and I got myself to the farmer and I got myself a bunch of fresh milk, and I bought some apple acid. It has about 5%. So this far I can tell you already, you need about 5% acid to make it work. If it is lower, it will not work. You can also use acid essence, about 20%, but then drop it a little lower, not too much. You can do so. This was when I started this cheese experiment. About this insulin high, I had 2 years ago, I was on 17.8. Normal level is 3.5, but I am no diabetics. And my doctors came up with so fucking inspiring comments. Sorry, I know it will blink out here again. Like, you're too fat, you're a smoker, I can give you a course for nutrition. Sorry, dearies. I check my nutrition since years. I try to eat much as natural possible, so no processed food. I keep my eyes on sugars. So if I like some cookies, you know, I get my cookies, but in a row I'm not overusing sugar, and also I'm not really fat. I mean, hello, this is no fat. This is normal. Okay, I'm not a sporty one, but this will change when I get back to my gym. So, however, I did store some extra pounds, but I'm not fat. And I think this is very discriminating anyways, if they say it's your fault because you got some extra pounds. Also, they came up with this smoking things, baby girls. This is called pooches or potch, and this I order in Scandinavia, and this is containing nicotine, and this is what I use half time of my day. So of course I do smoke still, but I smoke far less than a few years ago, so what the heck. It did not help me to solve my insulin resistance. It just was blaming on me what I do wrong. So 2 years ago I went another path. I took contact to a Vedic doctor, and he gave me some hints which medicals I should use. And then the next arrogance popping up here in Germany, they don't name it a medical, they name it a nutrition extra. It was just a few months later when I was down to 3.5 again. So what was the medical? Their stuff or the Vedic medicine? So just for putting a finger into the wound, Vedic medicine is far older than ours here. And it did work. So who's to blame? Now, 2 years later, I did nearly press my doctor to make another insulin check because I had some infections and so on, and I know that insulin high is triggering new infections, and I really had to push her hard just to make this stupid check, what is paid by health system, but she didn't see the necessity to do so, so I had to hard push her to do. So, but I now got the results, and it's not 17.8, but it is again 17.2. So it is again far too high comparing to 3.5. And here my musin comes into game. Of course, I can do it on Vedic medicine again, and if nothing works, I will do so. But it's slowing down the process. It's not directly solving the course because it came back now. So while I was doing this cheese experiment, I found out that on the one side, this low carb thing, I told you, the low carb thing is pretty much known for slimming down. And I did do it in the past as well. Yeah, you get tired, but it is working. And while that, I did already learn that if I do cook potatoes, for example, on a Sunday, and I just pick 3 potatoes for lunch dinner at work, these potatoes, after 24 hours, the carb is going down significantly. So you can eat your beloved potatoes without the massive impact of the carbons, so it's lower carb nutrition. Putting a cooked egg to it, so you got a lunch and you're not hungry, and so that's the way. I did do so, and I store them in a fridge, and it's lasting for a week. And so next Sunday I make a new kilo of cooked potatoes, and so I can make sure to have my food at work. Also, if you take young potatoes, you can eat them with a scale, so you get some remain of vitamins as well below the scale. This is one thing you have to make sure on low carb nutrition, so you get your vitamins. But about the cheese is one very, very great thing. I mean, I love cheese. But if you eat cheese, for example, you don't get hungry that fast again. So, and it is basically containing milk sugar, and it is containing protein. And combining 2 potatoes and an egg, it is a full-scale food and less carbon. This is what did trigger me to do this cheese workings. But there is a special on this. When you do this cheese working, like this do-it-yourself cheese, you use acid, and you use milk, and you use salt. That's basically all you need. So I made this cheese, and if you do it, you gotta remain of milk water. And this milk water, you don't just cast away. You can take it for the cheese, so putting extra salt into, a high level of salt, and then you place the cheese into, so it is like feta or mozzarella. And it is better for storing it. So let's say it this way. On the other hand, you get liters of milk remaining if you do a cheese. I did use, once it was 12 liters, once it was 3 liters. and you always get a remain of milk. So milk water, buttermilk basically. But the difference of buttermilk and for example kefir is you got the milk water with a contain of this acid and with a contain of salt, or you give in the salt into this. I usually do the salt later, so I do this milk water which is containing the acid. I mix up with 1 part of this, 3 parts of water and a half teaspoon of salt. And here my mucin came into game. It is a wonderful drink in the summer if it is warm, and I suddenly was triggered to check out about salt. And I found out that salt is a helper when it comes to insulin. But I did not understand why. I just knew the more I drink, the less I eat. So it makes sense to drink 2 glasses of this acid milk water, so to say, in addition to my food in the lunchtime or in the evening. But I did not know why. And so the inspiration of her side was lately check for drinking addict and health benefits. And if you give this into Google, the first thing popping up is apple acid mixed with water is sinking down insulin. I thought, wow. How does salt and acid impact my insulin level? And there I got curious. And so I checked more and more and more. And I found out this acid is slowing down the insulin level if you drink this glass of apple addict before eating. So having this apple addict within my buttermilk is giving me this acid before I start eating. So this was the reason why it did work. Also, I found out there is a little organ. I will write you the name down here. Yeah, because I don't know the English word. I will check for it. However, here in Germany, we got a problem on iodine lack. So if you got an iodine lack, this organ is growing bigger. It is just a little organ, but it is growing bigger and overproducing, and the problem of this is it can cause insulin resistance. It also can cause diabetics, but I'm not a diabetic as for now. But my insulin resistance can be a problem by overproducting of this organ, which is releasing a certain body hormone, which is triggering the insulin. And now here's a backdraft about all this blaming on you're too fat, you have to slim, and that's why your insulin is getting high. Bullshit. If your insulin is high, you can stop eating and you're still fat. Because everything what you're eating is stored as long your insulin level is that fucking high. I know this is x'd out again. However, as long the insulin is that high, you will store everything you're eating. So the first thing is how to low down the insulin. And if the cause of the insulin is caused by this organ, you probably should make sure to have enough iodine so it doesn't overproduct, so it doesn't trigger high insulin. And oh surprise, you will go down by weight. Now this is all theory. But I was living in Norway for about 5 years. This is now quite a while ago. But I was 15 kilo less of weight than I am today. And I did not change my food significantly. I don't eat more and I don't eat more stupid things. I thought it was because of the wind. Because of the cool weather and the body is fighting against the weather maybe. But considering this overall lack of iodine here in Germany, this is a very common thing here. In Norway we did live at the coast. So every breath I took was containing iodine from the salt from the sea. So probably my buttermilk, my acid and salt containing buttermilk thing is healing both on this organ, on my insulin, and on my weight. So I keep you updated if this is working out. And of course, I told you I had a surgery lately, so I'm not allowed to do any sports right now. But it's just 4 weeks to stand tall, to be a good girl, until I can start a gym again. When I get back to the gym, there are also the currently experiment, checking in for that, because I also do in muscle sports. And if you do a lower carb nutrition, for example, with higher intake of protein, it's good for your muscle buildings. And if I get down my insulin, all the sports I'm doing will impact my body as well. So let's see what is happening in the next years. But yeah, if health system fails, maybe the Alice are the ones to listen to. However, I keep you updated, and this is why an occult practitioner is talking about cheese, right? So I wish you a wonderful one. Have a beautiful Sunday, and yeah, see you next time.